Grimes and Elon Musk, or as we know them, Grusk, have broken up. Does that mean that we can listen to Grimes' music again without cringing? Is she now going to fight for international women's rights and LGBTQI+ people? Are we ready for her lesbian space commune on one of Jupiter's moons or right away on Mars? If you clicked on this video and somehow inexplicably do not know who these people are, Grimes is the stage persona of C. Boucher, a producer of ethereal pop music with industrial rave influences, an internet-acclaimed leftist cutie, but more on that later. And if you don't know who Elon Musk is, meet King, or as he would prefer, Emperor of Mars, and allegedly union-busting, space-privatizing billionaire who is friends with Jeff Bezos and Kanye West. Dear Elon is also the richest man on Earth in 2021. Do you want me to psychoanalyze C? Or to evaluate the toxicity of C's and E's relationship? Sorry to disappoint, but I'm just an obsessive fan who watched all, and I mean all, Grimes content on the internet. I've been listening to Grimes since 2012, so my last high school year, so I'm a hashtag true fan. Dear C, if you're watching this video, please hit me up for some late night video game sessions with laser swords, because I have so much to tell you about my feelings. And if you do start the lesbian space commune, sign me up. And you're single now, right? But I would also like to talk to Naomi Fry. The journalist wrote the infamous article that made C hate the New Yorker. There was ultimately a sense of deep disappointment in many people's responses to the new couple, which revealed a nostalgia for a time when political differences translated more securely into differences of taste and vice versa. What if ideological distinctions still mattered and were not so easily swept away by a leveling torrent of information and capital? What if anything still meant something? With all due respect, Naomi, but what if you tried to be less bitter about celebrity gossip? Would you not agree to be the GF of the richest man alive? Try to have some fun, like try to enjoy the drama like everyone else, laugh about the memes and let it be. But well, I won't let it be either, right? Making a 20-minute video about a pop star dating a rich guy? What Naomi strongly assumes here, though, is that there are political differences, ideological distinctions between C and E. Naomi, have you just seen the press photos and the memes and just assumed that a millennial cyber fairy goth could have absolutely nothing in common with a tech engineer who is dangerously close to being alive for half a century? Or do you also follow C or E on Twitter? C did confront Elon after he tweeted, "Pronouns suck. Plain and simple, right?" She responded, "I love you, but please turn off your phone or give me a call. I cannot support hate. Please stop this. I know this isn't your heart. Pronouns suck is rather ridiculous when your partner is trying to raise your child without using gendered terms. I can only imagine how disrespected C felt. There are even some rumors that they themselves prefer they pronouns, but since I haven't found any proof of that, I will be alternating between they and she for C. There was also some drama with Azealia Banks, but there always seems to be some drama with Azealia Banks. This time it involved threesomes, business, and dropping some acid, but nothing too crazy in my opinion. I mean, the truth of the matter seems to be that Banks got screwed up by Grimes and had to wait an entire weekend in Musk's mansion. C apparently had to trip sit a high on acid Elon Musk, who, like in the middle of his trip, decided to make Tesla a private company, whatever that means. If you are Azealia fucking Banks and someone makes you wait for several days at their house, you would be pissed too, right? But now, after the breakup, Banks tweeted, "Okay girl, can we finally make those darn songs now that apartheid Clyde is out of the way? We were really supposed to eat these bitches up." Banks' sharp tongue also relates back to her old Instagram stories, which documented her fun stay at Monk's mansion. This trash-ass beta male pig was given his start in life because his disgusting racist parents took advantage of thousands of black people. We will talk about Musk's family money allegedly coming from exploitation of South Africans and his reactions to allegations of racism a bit later. But at this point, Azealia Banks seems to be not completely opposed to working with the white bitch again. But why does Naomi Fry feel a sense of deep betrayal from seeing this unusual couple? Her article is actually pretty nuanced and non-accusative, which makes the strong sentiment in the end even more striking. She's probably neither a hyper-attached fan nor a journalist trying to make headlines with emotional wording. She's just voicing her disillusionment with the world, personified in a leftist indie musician dating an enemy of the working class. Which leads me to the question, what are rhymes politics?
This is my mother. You know, oh,
the button.
I was wondering why you're saying Think Independent. Yeah, my mom ran for office. I actually don't know what position she was running for. I probably should have paid more attention. I also didn't vote, which makes me feel like an asshole, but yeah, she's a tough lady. I really stand for what she's doing. She's like really opposed to the pipeline.
It isn't just that the First Nations had concerns. They didn't have information. Full consultation means full information as well. I'm concerned that your government is going to be on thin ice there.
Garcino also voiced her disapproval about Musk tweeting about taking the red pill. The red pill is an important symbol in the men's rights activists or incels movement, and such a tweet from Musk could easily be recognized as approval by incels. While Musk's tweet was as eloquent as always and just read, "Take the red pill," rose emoji, Garcino replied in her tweet, "If your partner went through a challenging pregnancy and childbirth in the last 2 weeks, and you were over 16 years old, would you be blaring MRA bullshit on Twitter right now?" C's dad, Maurice Boucher, is a biotech entrepreneur. As you can see, C did grow up with privilege. They attended Catholic school and even did ballet. I mean, that's nothing compared to Musk's dad, allegedly, owning an emerald mine in South Africa. C's privilege did not protect her from a lot of shit in her teenage years, like a history of friend suicides, drug-related deaths, and sexual assault. Later, C entered an elite uni just to drop out again and enter a precarious touring life. Her circumstances then definitely were not very glam.
In time, it was so cold in my apartment that I got frostbite on my toes in my apartment.
Shit.
Wow.
No heating?
Well, I mean, my apartment is awesome because it's really cheap, but there's like really bad, it's got really bad insulation. It's got huge windows, which is awesome in the summer. It's like, you know, a huge place with big windows or whatever, like when I used to live somewhere, anyway. But the only problem with that is that heat is like, it would just be significantly more than my rent to actually heat the place. So we just would wear coats all the time and not heat the apartment.
That's getting frostbites in Montreal, where none of her friends could afford heating, make you leftist. Does having family money make you right-wing? It doesn't seem to be a huge amount of inherited money anyways, since the beginning of her career as a musician was mostly funded by grants, and they did live with some precarity. So, was she Elon Musk's sugar baby? She denies it, saying, "Grimes is funded by Grimes. I don't want to divert funds from like Tesla to my stupid art project. I can't say the things I say and believe what I believe and then take money from my boyfriend. I mean, I would like childcare." Is that the truth though? C&E met on Twitter because of a pun on a world-controlling AI conspiracy theory called Rocco's Basilisk, which both of them wanted to call Rococo Basilisk. Rococo is kind of terrifying because it does represent the ultimate sort of like bourgeois, like elite, like it's literally the point of being Rococo. It's like art for the sake of sheer, ornamental and useless as possible. I believe that's actually like a philosophical aspect of the art form, so I mean, it's festive. It's super festive, but there's also darkness to it. It's the ultimate sort of bourgeois. I think your use of the term bourgeois is fundamentally bourgeois. I think it's kind of funny that Musk himself owns her here. He has a point though, because whatever she is, she's definitely not working class. Pretty expectedly, she does not hold any anti-capitalist values. They said to Brit Marling, "The problem with everything is corruption. In theory, capitalism should work." I didn't realize everyone thought I was such a by-the-book socialist. My politics are literally insane. I'll probably go down for it in the end. Going down for your politics is not something a leftist would say, would they? To me, especially with both of my parents being born in the Soviet Union, the idea that people thought that Grimes was a communist because of a Stalin quote is hilarious.
I'm sure many of you guys have noticed the online narrative that I used to be an avowed communist and I have betrayed the comrades, as it were. And I wanted to kind of give some context on my sense of humor and my history with this stuff. So I had kind of a crazy yearbook quote, which is, "Gaiety is the most outstanding feature of the Soviet Union," which is, you know, by Joseph Stalin. And when I was in grade 11 or something, we got this new principal who like painted over all the murals gray. And they actually went through and expelled all the worst students to try to sort of like bring the GPA up. And, you know, a lot of those people were my best friends. So this quote was not an endorsement of communism. It was actually a reference. I was sort of like making a dark joke comparing my school to the Soviet Union under Joseph Stalin, you know, that the freedom of creativity was being oppressed and people were being sent to the gulag.
Like, did Twitter communists pay no attention in history class? Honestly, I would rather cancel Grimes for being into Stalin than not being into him. The yearbook quote was not the most woke move, but telling C now that they somehow gave up their communist values is just completely detached from any reality. What is also a bit detached from reality is Grimes' newest publicity stunt, where she looks like reading the Communist Manifesto, which she probably has never opened prior to this glorious photographic moment. But as she says, "I realized it was opportunity to troll. And people eat it up and add endless memes to it, so she was successful?" But they says here again, I am not a communist. The political systems that inspire me the most have not yet been implemented. I thought people understood that I ultimately probably believe in an AI dictatorship. I mean, I don't think humanity is going to survive anyway. We're fucked. I think AI is the natural evolution. It's just like we killed the fucking Neanderthals, and now they are going to kill us. I don't think democracy really works. These are the kinds of things I think. I actually, for the short term, am a bit of a socialist, but not economically. People on Twitter have also been accusing C of removing the word anti-imperialist from their Twitter bio after getting involved with Musk. I change my Twitter bio every week. I took anti-imperialist out literally 3 or 4 months before I met Elon. I changed it from anti-imperialist to baby Wolverine. That means I love colonialism now. The fact that anti-imperialist holds as much intellectual value as a Twitter bio as baby Wolverine is kind of funny. But if we look at the evidence of her being a class traitor or a traitor of her anti-imperialist ideals, there is really not so much in the past that she has done to present herself as a leftist or anti-colonialist or whatever. Her political stances have actually been extremely basic when she did speak about political issues once in a blue moon. Let's look at one of her old Tumblr posts, for example. I know you're also probably all familiar with everything, so I'll keep it simple. There are human stakes in this election. Support for the Conservatives is endorsement of their decision to stigmatize and endanger minority women for political gain. See, attack on the niqab, barbaric cultural practices hotline, refusing to conduct an investigation for the staggering numbers of missing and murdered Aboriginal women, etc. This is one of the very few of their Tumblr posts concerned with politics, and it's actually just a long version of "Please don't vote conservative" with an attempt at intersectional feminism. In an interview with Rolling Stone, they says, "When I look at the aims of my boyfriend and I look at the aims of Bernie, like their end goals are very similar. Fix environmental problems, reduce suffering. It's worth dissecting the wealth gap, it's worth dissecting the existence of billionaires, but situations have nuance. Comparing Elon Musk's and Bernie Sanders' goals does lack nuance too, huh? Elon Musk seems to care more about the greenwashed image of his company than the actual working conditions in his factories. What I take from all this is that C is not very informed about politics. They never positioned themselves as an activist. Why does everyone expect celebrities to have answers to questions of social injustice and, like, the future of humanity? There is really no contradiction in a pop producer from an upper middle class family dating a billionaire and thus attempting upward class mobility. It's celebrity gossip, not hope and idealism losing all meaning. Activism is still meaningful if you don't expect it from rich celebrities like 19-year-old Billie Eilish. Lacking nuance also applies to the media trying to portray celebrities in a simple and one-dimensional way. There is a deep misunderstanding of Grimes' identity. At the core of this misunderstanding is sexism, but a very particular kind of sexism. An infantilization of white femininity. In 2019, Kalila Dosé writes, "Though she turned 31 this year, C could pass for a teenager." Similar descriptions of C are found across various interviews with them. Being constantly infantilized completely negates all aggressive or brutal aspects of Grimes' persona and music. Grimes is a Disney villain, not a Disney princess. I'll just be a villain now, and that's cool. She is Shigo and not Kim Possible. Her music is all about war, violence, sanitizing her eyes, and human extinction.
I was jamming with a friend, and this person was really good at making really aggressive music, and he kept doing these cute little plucky things, and I was like, no, let's make a hard song. He was like, no, you make cute music. I was like,
It's like saying Marilyn Manson is cute. And by the way, C was obsessed with Marilyn Manson. Her cute problem is partly caused by her singing voice, which is very high-pitched and reverby. They did take inspiration from children choirs, but not at all because of the sense of like innocence, but because of the vastness and mysticism it evokes, like the words losing meaning because of all the reverb. She describes it as holy. And the other like cute thing is the way they talk and move, which can appear quirky. I think it's either neurodivergence, trauma, a history of drug use, or like the anxiety of saying something wrong and then actually Grimes saying something wrong all over and over again, and thus like strengthening this anxiety. Just look at how she talks and moves in her TikToks, in which she is in full control of the editing and her narrative.
and why do you think quantum physics and Newtonian physics don't add up? Because they didn't think about that. Like, they've been trying to render and solve the problems as we try to discover them.
All the quirky mannerisms are gone. She's super coherent and put together. She says she was not anticipating the extremely negative reaction to her relationship with E. No one believes me about this, but I just did not understand what I was getting into at all. Not that I'm mad about it. I just didn't think it would be a thing. The shit that's happened with my boyfriend this year has overwritten so much of my life's work. I highly doubt that they went into it so obliviously. They did take media training and has as much knowledge of business and branding as any self-made producer, singer, director, artist, editor would.
But isn't it kind of a testament to, you know, when maybe people ask you for advice, or young performers that might ask you for advice, is the first thing that comes to mind like follow your heart, follow your gut, because it's gotten you where you are today?
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I feel like my first advice would be something akin to, like, try to learn a bit about business and, you know, don't mess things up.
Right.
You know. I guess I know a lot of people who follow their heart and then they just get wrecked, you know, by the industry. So you just have to be prepared for the industry.
Yeah.
I would not deny Grimes a creepy cute aesthetic that I personally like so much. She does enjoy Pokemon and anime and elves and fairies. But if you think that fairies are cute and harmless, or that Pokemon are cute and harmless, I've got some news for you. Pokemon are selling you a hyper-capitalist world of constant competition, and I would not advise you to walk into a fairy circle. Subscribe for more important info on Pokemon and fairies. But there's a general issue here, and it's whiteness. It's white childhood and white femininity made to symbolize innocence. White femininity is presented to be in constant need of protection, while black femininity is not. Presenting Grimes as cute and innocent is doing her a disservice as well. I don't want to be infantilized because I refuse to be sexualized. There is a dichotomy between infantilization of white women and non-consensual sexualization of black women, but C never signed up for it. They fought very, very hard to be taken seriously as a female producer.
But, you know, I'd constantly be getting emails from, like, producers and stuff being like, I'd love to, like, work on some tracks on your album. People just offering to do your job all the time, and it's just, like, infuriating.
Actually, you should criticize her. You should ask for accountability. But don't make it seem like they somehow gave up their leftist politics because of money and power and was somehow seduced by Elon Musk into a disempowering position. Pregnancy did mean a loss of power to her, but that's as submissive as it gets. What is this idea of Grimes' like activist past being somehow poisoned by Elon Musk? Grimes' anti-nature, tech-loving, futuristic fascist stuff was there all along.
What will it
He was always obsessed with war and AI supremacy, brutalist architecture, and human extinction. You don't need to hate yourself if you're attracted to all this in her. It is refreshing to see destructiveness and hunger for power in a feminine young person. If you decide to not listen to white supremacist musicians, I'm here for it. But if you need to see Grimes as a traitor or a victim in order to keep listening to them, if you need to create this like old Grimes, new Grimes distinction, like I only listened to them before, then you need to accept the fact that they are not a class traitor, but a white privileged Canadian. And that's what they were all along. I feel like at times there is an extreme rage that I haven't been able to lay down. A rawness that I have withheld from the public because people always told me to make it more accessible.
This is the first album I think I've ever made without fear, I guess. I just feel like this album like really knows what it is. I was just really mean when I was making this album. I was just like, I was like powering up.
Grimes identifies strongly with Khaleesi, literally comparing themselves to her, curling up under a Targaryen blanket. Though neither I nor C like the Game of Thrones finale, there is still a lot to say about her character throughout the show. Daenerys Targaryen took Khaleesi as a title, basically meaning queen.
Yes, queen! Yes, queen! Yes, queen!
She saw herself, a white woman, as a hero, liberating brown people who would hold her up as a savior. Daenerys just arrives with her dragons and gives them freedom. She is the ultimate white savior. I still hated her becoming sort of like Hitler and getting killed by her boyfriend in the end. You can view the ending like Lindsay Ellis did, a cynical reply to social justice warriors who are somehow so dumb for wanting to make the world a better place for everyone. But even though the Game of Thrones writers really fucked up Daenerys' character, the fact that she identifies with her still tells us a lot about her, her ambition, and her ignorance of her whiteness. C's glorification of white elves certainly doesn't help. Only a white person can think that Elon Musk can solve global warming.
These rich niggas throwing paper. Now it's time for circulating. It's time for circulating. It's time for circulating.
I just really, truly, utterly believe in sustainable energy and the electric future and making humanity a multiplanetary species. There are a lot of problems in the world that we need to solve. The government does not truly have the capacity to solve them. My boyfriend is actually doing it, tangibly, visibly, like you just can't deny it. Don't forget, this is the guy whose wealth allegedly comes from exploitation of black mine workers and who allegedly benefited from apartheid. I would personally even argue that all white South Africans benefit from apartheid in some way, and Musk growing up there already puts him in a very privileged position, let alone now when he's like the richest man on earth. Elon also allegedly stopped his workers from unionizing, and his response to claims of the use of racist slurs in his factories was, in fairness, if someone is a jerk to you, but sincerely apologizes, it is important to be thick-skinned and accept the apology. So yeah, if someone is a fucking racist but says sorry, you as a black person should be like, oh, okay, I forgive you. And this is how a company deals with racism among its employees. Tell their victims to be thick-skinned. Grimes is presented as a quirky teenager, their whiteness dictating their innocence and goodness in the world, no matter what violent stuff they actually have been saying all along. But it goes even deeper. Media seems to always conflate alternative style with alternative politics. Even though a lot of alternative musicians already expressed right-wing political beliefs. This is even more ironic because the alt-right literally incorporates the word alternative in being alternative right. It distances itself from its not-so-glamorous past and tries to create an illusion of counterculture. Time and time again, people on the right have been saying that they're against the status quo, which is like political correctness in the welfare state. The alt-right of the present moment exists in alternative aesthetics like Trump wave or Fesh wave. Their rhetoric and style want to evoke, in some ghoulish upside-down way, heroic rebellion, regardless of how well their aims align with the powers that be. And so we get, for instance, the consummate 90s outsider Alex Jones, against the world but also taking over the world, under attack from elites but also on the phone with the president. Same can be said about E, whom C visualizes as an alternative world savior, a philanthropist like Tony Stark. I think the whole Grimes and Elon Musk situation really exemplifies the dangers of presuming leftist politics because of lifestyle or visual style markers that have nothing to do with political beliefs, like C's veganism or cybergoth aesthetics, or even Elon Musk's presumed environmental friendliness. It does, of course, in a way make sense that a science-loving and tech-savvy producer would enjoy dating Elon Musk. She has always dreamt of space travel and greatness.
Would you like to go to space?
Oh, yes. I think I will.
Who is she?
I forget her name. She's like a grade 3 teacher who died on Challenger. I just think it looks. I love this color of blue, and I love the like aesthetic of the spacecraft and the American flag.
But it is ironic that Mia Mulder puts Elon Musk in a group of what she calls great men, of whom Dune, the science fiction novel by Frank Herbert, tries to warn us. Grimes is the biggest fan of Dune, and even her last Met Gala look was inspired by it. What's ironic is that Mia Mulder sums the novel up by calling it a warning against putting individuals on pedestals and fictionalizing them as ones who hold power over all of humanity. So, exactly how Elon Musk's fans view him. A kind of superhero who is here to change the course of history. Now, after the breakup with Elon Musk, here is Grimes' statement for page 6. I'll be colonizing Europa separately from Elon for the lesbian space commune. Europa, also called Jupiter 2, is one of Jupiter's moons, even though I am totally down for the lesbian space commune. This statement shows that Grimes wants similar status, similar greatness as Elon, be it only ironic or symbolic. Musk said to his first wife that he is the alpha in their relationship. Maybe his relationship with Grimes failed because two alphas didn't get along. But finally, colonizing space isn't exactly anti-imperialist.